Hello everyone, this is Dr. UJWALA Lande, Assistant Professor from Shri Shivaji College of Arts, Commerce and Science, Akola. In this video, we will be talking about Hamilton's rule and altruism. These are small concepts of evolutionary biology and are very important from CSIR-NET exam point of view.
So, about the syllabus. So, I have taken this topic from Unit 11, Evolution and Behavior, CSIR-NET Life Science Syllabus. This topic is taken from Behavioral Ecology. Now, let us understand what is behavioral ecology. It is the branch of ecology which deals with the behavioral aspects of various organisms with their impacts on other organisms, and these kinds of acts help them to adapt the various changes in the environment. Now let us see what it is. Now see here, when an organism is present in the environment, then along with him there are many other organisms present there, and with these organisms they interact through their behavior. Now this type of behavioral role helps the organism to adapt to the particular environment. So that is helping them to adapt to the particular environment. Now, you can see here, behavioral ecology is centered around three problems that organisms faces. Now, see here, what happens? The environment around the organisms consists of many things like, say, plants, animals, predators, and so on. And all of them are affecting the survival of the organism. Now, what is the need to show this kind of behavior, or why animals want to survive? What is the requirement of that animal for survival? See here, basic purpose of survival is to pass on genes to the next generation. That is inheritance. That is simply nothing but the reproduction. That means in reproduction the genes are transferred from one generation to the next generation. That means to survive, animals need food, because when they will get food, then they will remain able to remain alive, and when they will remain alive, they will reproduce. The second need is that they should avoid being eaten up by predators. When they will escape predation, then they will remain alive, and obviously they will reproduce. So when animal survives, they reproduce, right? Now, you all know about who is Charles Darwin. He is famous for his theory of natural selection. We all know that Charles Darwin has proposed the theory of evolution, which is the most accepted theory, that is the theory of natural selection, and it was published in his book Origin of Species. The whole concept of evolution is based on this theory of natural selection. Though we have universally accepted this theory of natural selection, yet the theory could not answer some of the questions, or still some of the questions remained unanswered from Darwin's theory. Now see here, and the slide you can see a social system which is displayed by various organisms. From the pictures only it is clear that how organisms, they are living together with one another, helping one another, supporting one another. This is the social system displayed by animals. Now, from Darwin's theory, the concept of evolution became clear. That is, how organisms evolved, how tree of life is generated, how diversity is created. All answers, all these questions were answered, but some questions remained unsolved, like how and why organisms show social behavior or social system. We all know that man is a social animal and he exhibits social behavior. Now, we know that why humans are social. Maybe because to fulfill our needs, maybe because we are selfish, or maybe for some self-interest. For all these reasons, man is showing social behavior. Now the question arises, why all these animals are showing social behavior? You can see that all the animals are some or the other way are in connection with the other organism, that is they are helping other or they are showing social behavior. Animals are not selfish like human beings. Then why do they help others? Many a times it is observed that in a community, some animals at the cost of their lives save not only their children but children of their relatives too. We can understand that a parent can sacrifice for his or her own child. But why the parent is sacrificing their life for his life for children of his relatives? What is the need? Same is observed in human beings, same is observed in animals also. So such questions were not answered by Darwin's theory, but answer to such questions were given by Hamilton, that is William Donald Hamilton, an evolutionary biologist, British naturalist and population geneticist, who found solutions to two of Darwin's outstanding problems, that is evolution of altruism and evolution of sexual reproduction. His theory gave solution to these two problems, and the theory is known as Hamilton's rule. Hamilton is widely recognized as one of the most significant evolutionary theorists of 20th century. His theory is considered as the biggest theory of evolution. Now we are going to understand about Hamilton's theory. So as we have already said that Hamilton's theory is known by Hamilton's rule. In Hamilton's rule, we come across two terminologies. First is, or you may say that Hamilton's rule is based on two concepts. One is altruism and second one is the keen selection. Now, first we will understand about altruism. The simple meaning of altruism is selfless concern, means there is no concern for his or her own being. First we will understand what does altruism means or what is altruistic behavior. The term altruism was coined by French philosopher Auguste Comte. In French, altruism means other people or somebody else. So see here, the term the French meaning itself is giving us the idea that what is the term altruism. That is, this word is derived from French word. Its meaning is other people or somebody else. So if you understand, or if you remember the meaning or understand the meaning of this basic word, you will understand the whole concept. It is simply the interaction between the animals in which an animal benefits others at the cost of itself. That means the term is telling that it is selfless concern. Here in this picture, you can see that one animal is offering food to other animals. That means there is some kind of interaction. This interaction is nothing but altruism. Now, what kind of interaction is seen here? One animal is offering food to members of his species or members of his community. Right? Now, in doing so, the one who is offering food is at loss because he is giving his food to other members, and other members are benefited because they are getting the food without making much efforts. Now, here what happens, one who is giving the food is at loss and has to pay cost for it because he is giving his food to other members. That means he is sacrificing his food for members or his fellow beings, or he sacrifices of own's well-being for benefit of others. So altruism, the meaning itself tells us altruism means for other people. So here you can see that the altruistic act is shown here. That is, one individual is performing for the benefit of other individuals without any intention or without selfishness. So this is the act, altruistic act shown by this individual. Now, in this act of altruism, fitness of one individual increases, whereas fitness of other individual or the individual performing the act decreases. So, same example here we can see that the fitness of these two individuals is increasing. Why? Because they are getting ready-made food. But one who is offering the food or one who is performing the act, his fitness is decreased. How? Because he remains without food, or he has to starve because he has given his food to his fellow beings. So in this act there are two individuals. One is the altruist. This is one who is the altruist who is performing the act, and other individual is the recipient who is benefited. Right? So guys, in exam you definitely get a question on altruism, mostly in part C and sometimes in part B. So if you understand the meaning of this term, you are very easily able to answer those questions which are given in section C. You know that in section C there are number of alternatives given, descriptive alternatives are given, and if you understand the basic concept, you are easily able to answer those questions. So this kind of behavior is shown by those organisms which are living in a complex social structure, that is in colonies, or they are living together but not in isolation. So here we are going to understand or study about the classic example of altruism. Can you recognize these animals? If you have watched Geographical Channel and all, Discovery Channel and Geographical Channel, you must have seen these and this animal. Both of them are same actually. So their action tells us something. These are the meerkats, which is the model organism for altruistic behavior due to their cooperative breeding and feeding as well as community guarding. So if you see the pose of this animal, you can see that their pose is like they are guarding something, they are playing some role here, they are watching something, they are keeping an eye on something. That is what their gestures or their body language is showing, that is they are watching something, maybe an approach of enemy or something. So here you can see that the meerkat is playing a role of sentinel. Sentinel in Hindi we called as santri. You must be familiar with this word santri. So the sentinel role is performed by a helper or a non-breeder, meaning he or she is on lookout, watching for possible predators and other potential threats to the community. So when their fellow members, they are eating food or foraging away from the burrows, then these meerkat who are on sentinel role will keep an eye for keep an eye on the predators or maybe enemies, those who are approaching towards them, and if they find someone approaching towards their group, then they produce a distinct bark to alert the other meerkats and all. So as soon as the distinct sound or the alarm is produced by these sentinels, then the other members of the group, they move and run and move into the burrows and all, and they are escaped. So while performing this act, what happens? The meerkat, those who were performing the sentinel role, they remain without food or they remain hungry. Now you can see here they are performing an altruistic act for the members of their group. They themselves remain hungry and allow others to have their food. Now you can see this is very uncommon in human beings. In human beings we see that first members of human beings, they first eat their food and then they allow others to eat or help others to have their food. But see here the difference. The meerkats, they play a sentinel role and allow their other members of the group to have their food, and while performing this act they have to sacrifice their food. This is the classic example of meerkat, and many a times there is question in CSIR-NET exam on this topic. Maybe a 2-mark question or maybe a 4-mark question, that is from the section C. So there are few more examples here you can see. Here you can see examples of vampire bat. Here you can see example of vervet monkeys, or here you can see example of honeybees. So various other animals, they are showing altruism or altruistic behavior. Now let us understand what these vampire bats are doing. Some idea you may get by observing this picture, but here I'll tell you what exactly it is. Now you all know about bats. They feed on blood, right? If they don't get blood for 70 hours, they die. Now, if one of the bat is not getting the food, then that bat is bound to die. So what other members of the bat family they do? They share their food or they share their blood that they have sucked into their mouth. They feed the other animals with it. How? Let us see. Mostly the female bats. They feed the other bats by regurgitating blood, that is, bringing the swallowed blood or food up again into the mouth and then putting it into the mouth of the hungry bat who is deprived of food. Now you can see this is a selfless concern, because one who has taken food for itself is taking out the swallowed food and providing it to the other members, keeping in mind that the survival of the other member is also important. So it is a selfless concern. These bats see that no member of their community remain without food. That is, it is the concern for the community. So obviously one who is feeding is at loss or has to pay cost. That means he is the altruist, and one who is benefited is the recipient, because he is getting the ready-made food. The second example we can see, that is of vervet monkeys. Vervet monkeys, more or less, their role is like the meerkats only. Vervet monkeys, mainly the females, generally have or show altruistic behavior. When they see a predator or an enemy approaching towards them, they give an alert call to the group members. In doing so, now see here what happens. This monkey, you can see vervet monkey is giving an alert call. He may be climbing on the tree and at a height and something and observing which enemy is approaching or predator is approaching towards them. So when this animal is giving alert call or producing sound, obviously this animal will attract all the attention of the enemy towards himself. That means he is risking his life for survival of his fellow members. So this is the act of altruism shown here. This member is not getting any benefit, but this member is showing altruistic act by costing his life or by sacrificing his life, so that other members of his community becomes alert and they escape from the predator or the enemy. Other example, you all are familiar with this example, that is the example of honeybees. In this community of honeybees, you know, honeybees, they are the eusocial animals. Queen is the fertile diploid female. Male is fertile haploid male, and the worker females are sterile. So here the worker females are doing all the jobs, maybe building up of hive, collecting of nectar, providing every facility to this queen. Why? Because the queen is the healthiest one amongst them. That means if this queen is kept healthy or provided with all the things that will maintain her health, then she will reproduce and pass on their genes to the next generation. So here you can see that there is the reproductive act is given more importance by these sterile or the worker bees. They are sacrificing their reproductive activity for the reproductive activity of the recipient. So this one queen is the recipient and the worker bees are the altruist one. That is, they always have to pay cost, and the queen is always benefited. So here in all the examples that we have seen, I'll show you a few more pictures also. Before that, let us just revise what we did. That is, The existence of altruism is nature doesn't support Darwin's viewpoint of natural selection. Now, why we say that the existence of altruism doesn't support natural selection? Because in natural selection theory we have understood survival of the fittest, right? But here in altruism what happened? Maybe a fittest animal giving his chance of survival to other. So natural selection expect animals to behave in the ways that increases their own chances of survival and reproduction. So in natural selection, own chance of survival increases, but exactly opposite is seen in altruism. Here in altruism, the animal reduces its own fitness, whereas in natural selection we say that it is the survival of the fittest. Means one who is fit will survive. But in altruistic behavior, one who is showing altruistic behavior, this animal reduces his own fitness for the fitness of other animals. Such examples you can see here. These are the common events. Now, what is the commonality in between them? That is, they are helping the member of its own species. You can see the elephant is helping elephant. The ants are helping their own members of their community. Here you can see monkey is helping. Here you can see monkey is helping, and all these animals you can see they are helping members of their own community or own species. These are very common. These are very common pictures you can see. It's a very common thing that people are helping members of their own community or animals are helping members of their own community. But there are some rare moments captured here, beautifully captured. You can see here that here the members of one community is helping, or one species is helping the member of other species. That is, you can see one member is showing favorism towards the member of another species. This monkey is helping the dog, the elephant is helping the dog, maybe here the frog is helping a small mouse. You can see here the snake is helping a mouse here. So these are, though these are very rare moments, but you can see in nature these things are still observed. Now we come to the second terminology, that is kin selection. Like previously we have said that Hamilton's rule is based on two things. One is the altruism and second one is the kin selection. So first about altruism we have already discussed. Now we will see about kin selection. Now what is the meaning of kin, that we will understand first. Because if you understand the meaning and the concept, then it becomes very easy for you to remember and answer the questions during the exam. Now you must have heard the phrase that is kith and kin. So when we say kith and kin, that means friends and relatives, right? So kith means friends and kin means relatives. So here kin selection is here favor done for the relatives. Okay, so kin means relatives. So when organisms favor members of own species, that is their relatives, to enhance their reproductive success. So here you can see the pictures, you can see in all these pictures you can see that the members are of same species or same community and they are helping the other one to enhance their reproductive success, and this is done at the cost of organisms' own survival and reproduction. This is nothing but kin selection. And the behavior that is shown, that behavior is called as altruism. Now, in kin selection, we study or we understand three parameters. Here you can see there are three parameters. One is the total fitness, second one is the inclusive fitness and personal fitness. That means total fitness is nothing but inclusive fitness plus personal fitness. Now let us understand what is these terms. First I'll tell you about the personal fitness, because you easily will understand what is personal fitness. Now personal fitness is what? Personal fitness is number of offspring the individual produces regardless of who rescues, rears or support them. Means see here, suppose a bird has given 4 offsprings, right? Suppose a bird has given birth to 4 offsprings, and the bird suppose maybe because of some reason dies after giving birth to 4th offspring, right? After not actually giving birth, after producing 4 offspring, right? Now here what happens? This bird is reared by some other bird of the same species, maybe rescued or supported or given food and all and reared and all. So here what happens, if this bird is given support by these two birds, they may not be their parents. They may not be the parents of this bird, but what happens here? This if survives, that will be the personal fitness of the bird who has produced this offspring. Suppose A is the bird who has produced this offspring, and that bird dies after producing this offspring or after begetting this offspring. Now these two birds may be B and C. They have come to the rescue of this small one, and they have provided with food and provided with support and all. So if this one remains alive, survives and reproduces, that will be the personal fitness of A, though A has done nothing for nurturing this offspring or has done nothing for rearing or rescuing this offspring, right? That is called as personal fitness. Now hope you have understood this terminology, personal fitness. I have taken this personal fitness first because then you can easily relate it to oneself. Now let us see what is inclusive fitness. Inclusive fitness is a number of offspring equivalents that an individual rears, rescues or otherwise supports through its behavior regardless of who begets them. Now again come to the two individuals B and C. Now what B and C has done? They have reared this individual, supported this individual, but they are not the producer of this individual. Who is the producer? A is the producer of this individual. A has beget this offspring, or A had beget this individual. So B and C, they have not produced this individual, but they have reared, they have rescued and they have supported. So that is the inclusive fitness shown by B and C. So inclusive fitness is nothing but keen selection. So inclusive fitness and the keen selection, they are interchangeably used terminologies. Now what is total fitness? Total fitness is how much the organism is benefited by showing altruism in total fitness. Means suppose here 10 individuals were produced and out of them, each individual remains alive and each individual is able to reproduce and pass on genes to the next generation, then maximum the number of individuals remain alive and provides or give birth or produces individuals and pass on the genes to the next generation. So in terms of reproduction, the total fitness is measured. So total fitness is nothing but how much the organism is benefited by showing altruism, that is total fitness. Now see here, you can see that inclusive fitness or keen selection includes two things. One is the direct fitness and next one is the indirect fitness. Suppose we have here individual A, right? Individual A is providing benefit to its offspring, then that becomes the direct fitness, because directly every individual favors its offspring, right? So a individual is providing benefit to its own offspring. So nothing new is here. This is a very common thing that is done by this individual. So to this we called as direct fitness. But in case the same A individual is providing fitness or favorism or benefit to its relatives, then to that we called as indirect fitness. So direct fitness and indirect fitness, these are the two terms present in inclusive fitness, that is the total genetic contribution of an individual to the next generation. That means personal reproductive success is measured as the number of offsprings that survive and reproduce. So see here, the direct fitness when it is done. Why the direct fitness is shown here? That means this is the personal thing, because this A individual has produced this offspring A. So genes of A individual is 50% directly passed on this offspring. So maybe he is caring for this individual because he wants to care for his 50% genes. That is the direct fitness. Now in his relatives, why he is showing favorism, why he is trying to give benefit to his relative? Even if they are his relatives, some genes are shared by them, right? Some genes, the percentage may be less, maybe 12%, or maybe less than that, maybe 25% or something that is shared. So a individual wants whatever genes are shared by him with the relatives, those genes should be protected. Those genes should be passed on to the next generation. So when he will protect the relatives, then only this relative will able to survive and reproduce. When he will reproduce, his genes will be transferred to the offspring. So that is nothing but the indirect fitness. Now come to the Hamilton's rule. What is Hamilton's rule that we'll see? It is a central theorem of inclusive fitness and predicts that social behavior evolves under specific combination of relatedness, benefit and cost. So somehow or somewhat we have already understood about the two terminologies, that is benefit and cost. And then we will understand about the R concept, that is the concept of relatedness. So Hamilton proposed the inclusive fitness or keen selection theory to explain altruism or self-sacrifice. According to Hamilton's rule, gene selection causes genes to increase in frequency when the genetic relatedness of a recipient is greater than the reproductive cost to the actor. Who is the actor? One who is performing the act of altruism, or altruist is known as the actor, right? So let us see about it. So here we will again understand the terminologies like what is B, what is C, and what is R. First, let us understand what is C. C stands for cost to actor or cost to altruist. Okay, C stands for cost to actor or cost to the altruist. Who is the altruist here? The altruist is the actor who is performing the act of altruism or the altruistic act. So when he is performing this act, he himself is sacrificing something for the benefit of other. This sacrifice may be in terms of his reproductive ability, maybe in terms of food, or maybe in terms of his life also. We have seen such examples previously, like during an alarm clock given by the monkeys or maybe the meerkats. These animals are more visible to the predator. They are giving attention, or they are calling the attention of the enemy towards themselves. So in this case, what happens? Their fellow members of the group, they are protected because they escape and enters into the burrows or maybe run away. But this individual actor who is noticed by the predator or the enemy, he has to lose his life. Another example we have seen, that is of meerkat. Meerkat, when he is performing the role of sentinel or sentinel role, when he is performing, he is losing the food. He has to sacrifice for the food because other group members, when are eating or foraging, he is hungry and standing there to keep an eye or to perform the act of sentinel, to play sentinel role and look towards the enemy if anyone is approaching. So the actor is always at loss, always has to pay some cost, right? Now come to the B. What is the terminology B? B means benefit to the recipient, right? B is benefit to the recipient. The recipient gains a benefit B as a result of the altruistic act. He may be getting protection from the predator, or maybe getting the food or something, and then he or maybe getting survival, or maybe for enhancing his reproductive activity or reproductive capacity. Next terminology is R. R is very important. That is coefficient of relatedness between the actor and the recipient. Suppose individual A is providing benefit to individual B, then what is the relation between them? Are they related or they are totally not related? Okay, so that we are going to understand in detail. So in this picture you can see that natural selection favors altruism. So see here, natural selection favors altruism when RB is greater than C. Okay? RB is greater than C means the act of altruism favors natural selection. That means the benefit is more than the cost or the loss. Now, what is favoring natural selection? It means the genes of the individual are passed on to the next generation. Say, for example, of the monkey. When a monkey is protecting its relatives from predation, it means that the monkey is protecting its own genes. As they are relatives of each other, that means they share some common genes. So when benefit is more than the cost, we say that the Hamilton's rule is met. Now see here, B is the benefit. B is the benefit, right? And C is the relatedness. C is the relatedness means what is the relation? Suppose person A and person Z, right? A is the father and Z is the son. Okay. So whatever are the genes of the father, 50% of the genes are present in the son. Okay. So when 50% genes are present, that means there is close relation. The genetic relatedness is more. The coefficient of genetic relatedness is 0.5. And what is the benefit? How many offspring this son or how many individual this son is providing, and to how many individual he is able to pass on the genes which he has inherited from the father. So while doing this, whatever is the cost incurred by the actor or whatever is the cost incurred or maybe the loss incurred by the C, if this cost is less and the product of R and B is greater, then we say that the Hamilton's rule is met. That means the person is helping individual of his own species for his reproduction. Now again we will just see what again is the relatedness. Relatedness is coefficient of relatedness. It is also called as genetic relatedness or degree of genetic relatedness. It just tells us what is the relation between two individuals. Say, for example, what is the relation between parents and offspring, or one member of the family with other members of the family. Let us see here. This is a very interesting diagram. You can see here it has shown all the relationships and the coefficient of relatedness. Everything is shown here. Now see here. This is the self, means a person, say you or me. So suppose it is me or it is you, whatever genes I have, that is I have my own genes, that is 100%. So 100% is nothing but 1. 1 is what? Coefficient of relatedness. Suppose I considered myself as one individual, then whole of my genome is 100%. All my genes are considered as 100%, and therefore R, that is the genetic relatedness, becomes 1, right? Now 1 is possible only if in other individual who is identical twin, right? Because identical twins, they only share all the genes. Otherwise, if it is not identical twin, then you cannot share similar in normal twins also you can see only there are 50% of genes present, but 100% gene. That is the reason you can see both the things are shown with white color. Why white color? Because they have 100% similar genome. Now, what is the relatedness with your parents? With your parents, you have 50% gene. From father, you got 50%. From mother, you got 50%. And this 50% has made your 100%. So, the relation, the genetic relatedness or coefficient of relatedness between these two parents is 0.5%. That is between the parent and the self. That is the individual. Then with your child also. With your child also the genetic relatedness is 50% because again the father is giving 50%, the mother is giving 50%. Your full sibling, your brother or your sister, is having 50% genetic relatedness. That is the coefficient of relation or R is again 0.5%. This 0.5% is shown here by yellow color, means all those are present in the yellow color, they have 0.5% genetic relatedness. Now come to the blue circle. In the blue circle you can see grandparents as well as grandchildren and as well as full aunt or uncle or maybe full niece or nephew. In this case you can see the genetic relatedness is of 25% and therefore R is 0.25%. And in the outermost circle you can see that there comes the grandparents, great grandparents, great grandchildren, great grand uncle, aunt or maybe full cousin. With them we share only 12.5% of the genes. Therefore the R becomes 0.125%. So that is all about the genetic relatedness. So one thing I forgot to mention here, that is about the half sibling. Half sibling is your step brother or maybe step sister. With stepfather or stepmother you do not have any genetic relatedness, but an individual will have genetic relatedness with half sibling, that is 25% only, because the father's gene are only present here and not the mother's genes. Therefore we say that it is half sibling is having 25% genetic relatedness. Now see, here you can see a beautiful picture overshot here. So let us sum up what we have understood up till now. That is, Hamilton's rules state that an animal will engage in altruistic behavior only when the indirect benefit that it derives from such behavior are greater than the direct reproductive cost that it incurs. So when an animal shares common genes with another animal that is in need of help, or for instance it is likely to exhibit altruism. This has led many biologists to believe that altruism could simply be selfish behavior at the gene level. I hope you have understood the concept of Hamilton's rule, inclusive fitness, total fitness, personal fitness, altruism and gene selection. All these concepts are very important from the point of view of CSIR-NET exam, and you are definitely going to get a question on this. So this concept, I tried my level best to help you out to understand this concept. Thank you so much.